Hello and welcome, either welcome for the first time or welcome back. I would like to say particularly thank you. Why isn't Dana a moderator? Let's see if we can sort that out. Thank you to Dana and Jay for returning. Once again, I'm back on the little lapel mic. I've got I've got a new battery, so hopefully this the sound on this will all be okay. I see the little thing going, indicating that sound is coming from that microphone, so that's all good. So I did stream earlier. I am now streaming again, and it's mainly because I've just got more work to do. I may as well stream it. Micro Mage Repair, thank you for joining as well. Yes, and to obviously the people in the parts of the world where it is now ridiculous hours of the evening or indeed early morning, thank you for joining. Okay, so I finished sticking a battery into an iPhone 5S. That was a fun little job. Anyone who's ever done that before will know what it means when I say that while I was removing the battery, one of the strips broke. So that was a little bit more of a pain than usual. It hasn't actually happened to me before, but it happened on this one. It was just while pulling those little adhesive strips out, one just went snap and just sucked up underneath the battery. So that was a little bit more of a job getting the battery out. But anyhow, it was done. It's now got a new battery in it. Everyone's happy. How was lunch? Lunch was lovely. I made myself a banh mi, which is like a bread roll. Okay, so... yes, those strips were designed by Satan himself. Yes, they're real. They are a real pain. They can indeed be. So, just a quick little recap on the recap. I love doing that one. Recap on the recap. Here is my 840 AV board that we were looking at before. And my UV solder mask has now cured. If I go in and have a little bit of a zoomage into this region, you can see that all of those traces are now coated well with this UV solder mask, so we can just get these last three caps on and then I can move on to something a little bit more exciting. Let's grab some caps. Okay, rim shot. Okay. This is the first time I think I've done 2 streams in a day. I was a little bit... I didn't go in and sort of post this one in all the forums or Facebook or anything like that. So this is pretty much just whoever happens to happen across it. This has gone to sleep. Okay, wakey wakey. That's why I love using... a good quality soldering iron, good quality soldering station, T12 tips, that sort of thing, because the it just starts up so quickly. You know, if it's gone, even if it's freezing cold, it only takes a few seconds to come right up to temp. Okay. That one gobbled up a lot of solder because there's actually a bit of a gap that's being caused by the fact that the capacitor is sitting on a little mound of UV solder mask. So, there we go. It's looking nice. 2 more caps to go. How's everyone going at the moment? Everyone enjoying their evenings, mornings, afternoons, days, whatever, in your particular neck of the woods? Exciting things happening, like making that capacitor go crooked. I am aware of the news reports of certain exciting things happening, but apart from that, anything else exciting happening in your world? Enjoying some caffeine. Yes, I can tell you what, after I've done this, I might head up and grab myself a cup of tea. Don't mind a little bit of a cup of tea or an occasional coffee. I just realised that this one here is ever so slightly crooked. And I have shown this before when if I want to uncrooked just a capacitor by a small margin, what I do is I grab some tweezers, I heat this, and I push it ever so slightly. Like that. And then I desolder the other side in case there's any tension being built up by me bending it. And there we go. That one is now straightened up a smidge. Working on the site. I know what that is. Jay, would you like to put a post in for anyone who happens to be watching this? Or we are still sitting, I think, on 3 viewers. So, 5. We're up to 5 now. So Jay, for the benefit of the other people watching or anyone who may watch this at a later date, would you like to put in a link to that website, that rather fantastic website that you're referring to, called appleserialnumbers.com? Is it .com? I hope it's .com. Where you can put in the serial number of your Mac and it will tell you loads of stuff about it. And I don't know what you're thinking. You're thinking, come on, man, I can do that with another website already. Not the same. This one gives you a lot more information than that other website does. Okay, so one more capacitor and then we can move away from this 840 AV board. appleserialnumberinfo.com. Right. It's messy right now though. Yes. Are you playing with the layout again, Jay? Right. Plonking that down. When you've got UV solder mask underneath the cap, it is a little bit more difficult because, as I say, the cap starts rocking on it rather than being flushed out on the board. Okay. Okay, so this one is now ready for the cleaner. To try and get rid of some of all of that unnecessary gunk on there. I won't do the cleaning now because, as I've said before, it makes one horrendous noise. Now we're going to move on to the main event of this live stream. I wonder which camera angle I should go for this one. Side angle? Or do I go front angle? I have here, side angle. I have here a Macintosh Color Classic logic board. I have worked on lots of Color Classics before. Do me a huge favor, Jay. Will you please allow me to do the responsive thing? I promise I will work on that very, very soon. I will save you a whole lot of heartache if you just allow me to do that for you. I want to do it. It is my choice to do it. I do want to do it. I will do it. I would really like to do that because setting up responsive CSS could send you insane, and I don't want that to happen to you, no more than you currently are. So this is a Macintosh Color Classic logic board. This, I've done lots of these before, no big deal, Color Classic. But this one has a slight secret, and that is that there is a huge expansive void where there used to be a battery. And once we look at this under the microscope, you'll see basically what's happened. And this is one of the many computers that has suffered battery leakage. Messing with table percentages instead of pixel widths, not making it harder for you. Good, yep. It's the way to go. It's the way things are these days, working with percentages rather than locked in widths. So anyhow, basically a client has sent this to me, a customer has sent this to me and said, look, I bought this really cheap on eBay as unworking. I've got an LC575 board that I can put inside this Color Classic and turn it into a Mystic Classic. But hey, if it's an easy fix, let's go ahead and fix the Color Classic board anyway. So here it is. Up here is where the issues are. I'm going to grab one of my little Ziplocs and put I've got here a 256 kilobyte VRAM SIM, and this here looks like, I reckon it's probably an 8 megabyte DRAM SIM. No, DIMM. It's a DIMM. It's a dual inline memory module, isn't it? Not a single inline. It doesn't actually say on it the capacity of it, but I'm going to just hazard a guess and say it's an 8. Yeah, it's this is actually something. I had a discussion with Jay about ultrasonic cleaners. Jay, who does laptop repair, he has an ultrasonic cleaner as well. Because when you get corrosion and you get spills and stuff like that, you clean it in an ultrasonic cleaner. The main reason why we use an ultrasonic cleaner is because they're very, very gentle. They use a process called cavitation, where they're using high frequency sound that kind of bombards the board, and it's really good for delicate things, and they use them for things like jewelry and obviously computer boards and stuff like that. So, and Jay has an ultrasonic cleaner, a way flashier one than I have. And I was talking to him about replacing the liquid in my ultrasonic cleaner, and he was just sort of saying very rarely has to do it. And of course I have to do it all the time because so many of the boards that I have are just covered in this greasy grime. And what happens is I start with a clear liquid. It starts off kind of this sort of color, and it ends up looking like that. That's all of I captured some one time. I just thought, yeah, why not keep that as a reminder of just how dirty it can get. And that's all the little bits of grit and grime and stuff that come off the board when they go on the ultrasonic cleaner. Fantastic things, ultrasonic cleaners, I have to say. Okay. Oh, hello, RetroComp. Welcome back. Thank you for joining again. I guess to some extent the fact that some people are joining in with this stream does indicate that the YouTube notifications did go out, which is good. We know that YouTube is doing its job. I've got all these old capacitors that I need to throw away, and the old cotton bud Q-tip thingies, and this is one of the sticky bits that came off the little adhesive strips that was holding in the battery that I just replaced in an iPhone. There we go, some more capacitors. I used to collect all the capacitors and keep them in a bag, and then I just suddenly one day said to myself, why on earth are you doing that? So I threw them away. Right, so Color Classic, battery damage. Let's have a look. What does it look like under the microscope? What secrets does it have to give? Dysfunctional Wombat. Hello, Aaron. Welcome to the stream. Oh. So I'm just twiddling with my knobs, make sure I'm in focus. Ooh, whoa, look at that one. Look at that. Far out. So, just in case anyone is not really aware of what they're looking at here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 missing pins from this chip. We have, well, some fairly serious trace damage going on. So we've got that trace is totally gone there, going through there, and look, see that like this green halo going on there? That's corrosion in the in-between layer of this particular board. So that can suggest, of course, that there may be traces that are actually broken inside this board. Yeah, okay, so let's keep going, shall we? There's our battery hole. So we've got, well, that looks like it's gone. I'll just check. Ah, Michael Mullet, thank you for joining. Okay, so what do we got here? Is that completely gone? And I just feel like all I'm doing is removing mask here. There's no copper here at all. Yeah, sure is. You've basically got that copper there on the left, and then it hits sort of an expansive void there with no copper in that channel whatsoever. Right, okay, so let's keep looking, shall we? Um, okay, that's the other side of the battery terminal, as you can see. That kind of circular thing there, that's corrosion in between layers of this board. I think this is the ground of the battery. So one of the things that I can just test to see whether this is actually still making some connection is, there's a beepity beep beep. I'm going to put one probe in here somewhere and another one on something that should be grounded, like one of the shields of the ports here. Nope. Well, let's just check and make sure it's not the other one, shall we? Is that one ground? Nope. Nope. Okay, so nope. Oh my goodness, the other side's exciting as well. Look. Look at all these busted pins. Oh look, that's actually, they've been pushed. Right. So, no, there's nothing there. So, there are two things that you can do with a board like this, the way I see it. The first option is to try and repair it. Go through, repair some of these damaged traces, grab a multimeter and get a working one of these and go in and test, you know, see whether we've got continuity in certain places where there's corrosion, to see if it's all getting through. Get a donor board and salvage the parts off it, because obviously there are a lot of parts here with damaged pins. So that's option one, and that could easily take 4 to 8 hours, I guess, for something like this. Option two is to say no. So I'm just going to call it now and say there is this live stream was called, what was it? Can I save? Is it, what do I call it? Can I save this Macintosh Color Classic? The answer is no, I cannot. I possibly could, but I don't think I will. I might use this opportunity just to demonstrate something fairly quickly. Oh, have I got that thing with the thing next to the thing? I wanted to just show doing a repair of a pin on a chip such as this, where we've actually ended up losing the pin entirely. There's no pin there at all. There's nothing. It's just nothing. There's an expanse of nothing where there used to be a pin. And you might look at that and sort of think, wow, what on earth can you do about that? Well, you can sometimes actually repair, well, sort of restore contact, I guess, with the pins. Now, this is folly, what I'm doing, but I do want to demonstrate it. I'm just going to get a little part for my Mike Maloney. I've called it, mate. There is, just for those who are watching, this is Mike's computer. And he was asking me whether it would be fixable, and ultimately my answer is no. So the instructions he has basically given me with this is to remove the capacitors so that it doesn't do any further damage. I'm also going to ultrasonically clean it, this, you know, because if we get all the corrosive stuff off, we can try and restore, you know, maintain what is left on here. Let's take an example. Let's look at this. What have we got here? We've got a perfectly good 25 megahertz. 25 megahertz? That's not right, is that? I thought there were 16. But anyhow, we've got a perfectly good CPU here. Does that mean that this... No. No, I'm starting to get confused now. Hang on. Who out there is an expert on? Actually, hang on. I can do it here. I've got the tools. I've got a fancy database with all sorts of information about Macs. I am looking for a Macintosh Color Classic. No, too far. Color Classic, here we go. What can I tell you about that? Its code name was Slice. It was released in February 1993. It is a 16 megahertz 030. Now, this is a 25 megahertz 030, which basically suggests that what we're looking at is a Classic 2 board. That's an interesting one. So does that mean that this is a Color Classic 2 board? Let me just grab some of my little cheat sheets, because I have done one of those, so I've probably got a photo of the board somewhere. But that's really thrown me, that has. Oh, Steve, welcome back. Look at all these people that are still awake. Isn't it wonderful? Okay, bear with me a minute. Just checking it all out. I'm looking through my little cheat sheet here. Sorry, I'm probably stuffing up my microphone while I'm doing it. I have so many of these, and I don't have a filing system with these. They just, whichever one I'm working on, just gets piled on top. Yeah. Boy. Why is it that the ones that I recap the most are the ones that are hardest to find? Just makes no sense to me. It's illogical, Jim. Unfortunately, none of these ones are labelled. Yeah, Classic 2, yeah. Yes, I'm still looking for confirmation because I'm not ready to call it yet that it is a Classic 2, though I think it is. And given they were never sold out here, that's pretty impressive. Out here, when I say out here, I mean in Australia. I don't think the Classic 2 ever made it out here. I think they were mainly sold in Japan. I could be wrong. Someone can correct me if that is incorrect, but I think their main market for the Classic 2 is Japan. But there's no doubting that this has a 25 megahertz CPU on it. And I can't find... I need a filing system. I need a filing system for all my little boards here, my little things here. All right, I don't know why I didn't just do this before. I have this website called recapaMac.com or .com.au, whichever you prefer. And you can click on that, and then you can go to the resources menu, and then you can go down and have a look at different computers there. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the Color Classic 2 there, even though I have recapped one. I obviously haven't put it up here. I need to do that at some stage. So, the main difference between them, obviously, there are two things you can look out for that will identify that one is a Classic or a Classic 2. I remember someone telling me this, but I forgot. And what they are here, first of all, the original Color Classic only has a short little slot. Doesn't have this little extended bit down the bottom. So if it's got this extended bit, you know it's a Color Classic 2. Or it could be an LC520. They look fairly similar. No, it wouldn't be a 520. They weren't 25 megahertz. Were they? No, they were 25 megahertz. So it could be an LC520. It's hard to tell because they're exactly the same board, more or less. And the fact that we have here is the RAM, and here is the VRAM, and there's these RAM chips in the middle. If this was a Color Classic 1, these two slots would be right next to each other. That's the main difference there. So, yeah, this isn't a Color Classic, it's a Color Classic 2, or an LC520, depending on, yeah, one or the other. Okay, so wasn't that exciting? Yeah, probably a 520, which is, as I say, 25 megahertz. I had a 520 here just recently. So anyhow, as I said, I was going to demonstrate the process of potentially, let's go into the microscope, potentially replacing a damaged pin. I've got my Dremel here, ready to Dremelize. I've got my microscope nowhere near my face. There we go. And I'm going to attempt to actually grind down a little bit of this plastic. Get ready for the horrible noise. Sorry, guys. Stop getting faster. Keep in mind that what I'm doing here at the moment, I'm doing with full knowledge that this particular chip is completely shot, and if I wreck it, it doesn't matter that much. I'm looking for traces of copper in here. I don't see copper yet. Is that copper? Have I gone right through the copper? I need to look at this at a side angle just to see where I'm up to. Why is that Dremel auto speeding up? I don't know, it does that. It's annoying. Yeah, we're not quite through to the copper yet, but we're close. Okay. Let's get through to the copper. This is what the people came to see. Well, it's not really, but yeah, for some reason this Dremel just slowly gets faster and faster while you're using it. There it goes. Copper! We are rewarded for our efforts with copper. Now, though it may not seem it, that is actually enough copper to solder onto. I can get a soldering iron into there, and I can get a little bit of flux into there. And I can get some solder onto that pin. I should be using a pointy tip for this one, so I'm going to dispense. What have we got here? Yeah, so the reason why this board looks so terrible, Michael, is because I just pulled a board out of one of my Color Classic 1 and can confirm that it isn't a Color Classic 1. Well, how about that? Yeah, so the reason why this one is so bad is because it had battery damage, battery leakage, which happens So what we can then do is use a little bit of wire to create a join. Now obviously in this instance here there's nothing to join to, there's no pad. I would be joining it directly down into that hole there. But you can then get, as I say, a bit of wire like this, or even a thicker bit of wire. Let's say I go with something about this thickness. I'll have to cut this one because this is thicker. Now this one wasn't a Vada battery actually. I can't remember what it was, but it's had a big thing on it saying, you know, inorganic battery. So it's going to just like put a little bit of flux in there, about a quarter of a Rossmann in there. For those unaware, a Rossmann is a unit of measure for how much flux you use. Okay, now, though it may not look it, that is actually quite sturdy. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to pull the board with it. And that just gives you an idea of how secure that joint is. I'm actually dragging that board with it. Here we go. Let's be more effective with a view like that, won't it? Look at this. There's my little wire, and there's me pulling the board with that solder joint. So it's quite strong. With that wire now, it's a nice long wire. I can route that to wherever I want. I can run it through, I can run it to here or whatever the case may be. And this one here is a tiny hole, so it's not going to fit down there. But in theory, let's say I was going to join it to a pad. I could then push this down and join it to a pad, and we'd be connected up. So that is, I wasn't looking at the microscope, sorry. Yes, so I would be able to bend this down. Let's just say that pad was still there. I could bend this down and I could join. I would typically bend this before I did the join. And I would solder it onto the pad there and essentially create myself a new pin. But yeah, so anyhow, that is something that I just wanted to show. I wanted to show that even when you have a situation where a chip has completely lost one of its legs, those legs do actually go inside the case quite a way, which gives you an opportunity to, you know, sort of cut the case, show some of that that copper, and then solder onto it. I've done it before and repaired a device with that. This was a card from a Macintosh 2SI. It had some terrible corrosion on it, and once I replaced, I think it was about 4 or 5 pins on the chip. It worked beautifully. The card worked beautifully. So there we go. So anyhow, that's something I just thought I would show. I'd take the opportunity to show that because this one is in such bad shape. I've been yanking this so much now, it's going to come off. There we go. So that's off. So that's that. So what I just need to do with this one, because as I was instructed by my customer, he would like to have this as a spare parts board. And so I am going to now remove the capacitors so that it doesn't, we don't end up with more horrendousness going on than we already have. Now, you might think, why on earth would you hang on to this? Well, we've got perfectly good ROM chips. Let's just go into a side view here. We've got perfectly good ROM chips here. This connector itself is good. I mean, I'd hate to have to change it. Look at all those. I would hate to have to replace it, but these do get damaged. These pins can get bent up. You can get little dings in the end here, which then makes the pins stick up. And if one of these pins is even remotely sticking up, if you then put this into the computer, they'll just bend and fold right back, and then you're stuffed. So having this connector can be a really good thing. Have a spare one of those. We've got a spare CPU here. We've got a spare sound chip. Now these sound chips commonly go on these because of the capacitor damages around them, and this sound chip works on quite a lot of computers. Classic 2, LC475, a few other of the LC range. So you know, so it's really good to have a spare one of those sound chips. Pretty much everything up here is cactus, but you know, this side of the board, there's plenty here that's worth hanging on to. So it makes sense to have a donor board like this. For those who aren't familiar with the term donor board, it basically just means a board that donates its parts. So And I have lots of them. It just, you end up collecting them. You end up working on particular jobs, and then, you know, at a certain point, it's like, nope, this one can't be repaired, and then the board becomes a donor. So let's get these caps off. I'm going to have to probably do this with this view because I don't think this is going to work very well with the microscope. Righty. Got all this paper here near my hot air station. I mean, you know, since when has paper ever been an issue with, you know, really, really hot stuff? So a little quick question to Mike Maloney in the chat. So you had no idea that this was a Color Classic 2 or potentially LC520 board living inside that case, I take it. Okay, there's a couple of caps off. Yeah, I mean, sort of Edward, he says, I'm still paranoid of doing something like that. I guess that's why we call guys like you to do it. Yeah, I mean, if you're referring to the dremeling off the edge of the chip, yes. The thing you have to remember with that, and if we're talking about just straight recapping, well, you know, it's something that just takes a bit of practice. You practice this sort of stuff on a board that you don't care about. You practice on something you really don't mind losing. And then when it comes to doing the grinding of the chip, like I did, like trying to add new pins to it, well, a microscope definitely helps for that sort of work. I can't deny that. It enables you to see that copper shining through a lot easier and that. But what you have to remember with a lot of those boards, they're stuffed anyway. You know, I mean, when you've got a board with pins missing off it, it's shot. So the thing is that if you have a crack at fixing it and you don't fix it, you're no worse off. And you've learned a little bit more about it at the same time. So, you know, when it comes to fixing these things, what have you got to lose with them a lot of the time? I mean, it's like they're already busted. I'm sorry I'm not microscoping this, but just the position of some of these caps. Whee! We've got a popper. Position of some of these caps just make it a little bit hard for me to have the heat shields in, have the, well, there goes that one as well. Have the what do you call it, the hot air station in, be able to see it, all that sort of stuff. So I'm just doing them with this. And you might sort of say, why on earth would you bother using a heat shield if this thing's just going to become a donor board? Well, as I said, when it comes to getting replacement parts, I'd rather not have them melted. You know, if I've got any of these ports or plugs or anything like that that I can reuse in another one, when I say I, it's not actually me, this is not my board. But, you know, if you've got these parts that can potentially be reused in another board in the future, then let's not melt things in the process. Okay, I think that's all of them. Not many caps on this one, which is nice. Okay, so that's all the caps off. Oh, that's not going to work. Okay, I better move all this paper. It's just silly. Oopsie. Oh, it's falling down. Welding crisis, chaos. Stay. You thing, you. Alright, so caps all off. This is now going to drop in the ultrasonic cleaner. We'll get it as clean as possible. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and preserve this in its current state so that it doesn't get any worse, so that some of these parts can potentially be used for other things. There are some of these things that have got some fairly nasty corrosion in, and they will probably continue to corrode to some extent, but they're parts we're not really interested in anyway because they're already shot. Sorry, little Classic 2/LC520 board. Sorry we couldn't help, but you know, that's how it goes. So, now you might be thinking, well, come on. I'm sitting here now, I'm watching this stream. What on earth are you going to do to entertain me? 15 people here. Well, I've got a couple of options. I guess I'll probably put it up to the vote. I can do some trace repair on a Quadra 900. That's my Quadra 900 that has some trace damage from a battery leakage. I can do that. That's number one. I have got a Color Classic analog board that needs to be recapped. That's one. I've got a Color Classic analog board that wants to be Mystic upgraded as well, but I've already done a video on Mystic upgrades, so I can't imagine that I would be able to do a live stream as well as I've done that live recording. What else? I've got a 610, Quadra 610 that needs recapping. Recap Color Classic. No Summer Ray, sorry. J-Vote's analog board. We've got Color Classic, Recap Color Classic. So we've got 2 votes for the Color Classic analog board. So you'll have to excuse me because I have to head up to the house for that because the Color Classic is up there. So if you can just be patient while I we've got 1 vote for Quadra. Quadra stuff sandwiches. We got okay. Now we've got 3. Well, we got 3 each. What was the Quadra 900 a power supply? No, the Quadra 900 is. I don't have a power supply for it. I'm making one. I'm in the process of making one. The Quadra 900 is the one that had the battery leakage, and it's caused some damaged traces underneath the RAM SIM slot thing. So I've pulled the RAM slots off. All right, okay. So look, I think the Color Classic is probably marginally higher in the votes there, possibly. So I will go and get the Color Classic. I'll just move this out of the way because I'm going to have to pull it apart. I need space. I need my space. Yes, sorry, Steve, you have missed it. The 840 AV has been finished. First thing I did when I came back onto the stream is I stuck those 3 remaining capacitors on the board, and it is ready for ultrasonic cleaning. Well, it's not quite. It's nearly ready for ultrasonic cleaning. This is it here, with all the caps on the board, all 15 caps replaced. Why it's not quite ready yet is I have to get the heatsink off. I don't want to put it in the ultrasonic with a heatsink on. So I'm going to try and get this dag-nabbit thing off. Come on, you darned thing. There you go. Yep, nearly there. Come on. There we go. Is that? Yep, that's coming off. Yep, that's coming off. So I just need to do the same on this side. Interesting thing for folks, vintage Mac folks. The 040s were the first CPUs of Macs to come with a heatsink on them. All of the the early ones, 68000, 68020, 68030, they never had heatsinks on them, but the old 040 pushing it. Will you just come undone? For goodness sake. There we go. You're coming up. There you go. Come on. Oh, God, I hate these things. These heat sinks just don't come off easily. Okay. So just the summary is, Steve, that your Quadrate 40 AV, where you were going in and recapping, and I mean, you had some trace damage, and you had some weirdness, didn't you? You had some funky things going on this side of the board as well, I think, from memory. A couple of little repairs that you had done. Isn't that rude of me to say that? I think you should just proceed with the recapping. I think you just need to go in and start putting new caps on, and we'll see what happens. Right. Okay, so this one is, wow. Oh, look at that. That is, yeah. Why even bother? Oh, man. What? I mean, look at the size of the chip. It's got this little glob of heat. What do they call that stuff? Thermal paste. Brain not working. Sorry. Might just clean this chip a little bit. Oh, look at that. No, you can't see it. I think it looks like toothpaste now. There we go. Off he comes. And I might even take the CPU out for the cleaning so that it can clean into the little CPU holes. And so let me just go in and gently prise this CPU out of its little socket. Out she comes. If you're wondering why I'm not actually showing you what I'm doing here, it's because the way I remove these CPUs from their sockets would probably get some people riled up. Why are you doing it that way? My goodness, I cannot believe you do it that way. And I do not want to get people riled up. It's not my intention to rile people up. So here is the CPU. This is a 40 megahertz 68040 CPU with lots of little pins there. And I'm going to put it into the Ziploc here. Yeah, it is a little bit dry, isn't it? Right, okay, so now it's ready for the ultrasonic cleaner. Yay. Right, if you'll excuse me, please talk amongst yourselves for a few minutes while I go get the Color Classic, and we will pull it apart and have a little play with the analog board, shall we? I've still got my mic on. I don't know how far the range of this thing is and whether you can still hear me now. You may not be able to hear me for much longer, especially when I press the mute button. Testing 1, 2, 3. Right, what do we have here? Apart from no desk space. It's getting to the time of night where I am likely to get a visit from a chicken. Hello. So, just be warned if you are afraid of or have a phobia against chickens, it's not your day. Okay, so here is my, it's not my. Here is Mike's Color Classic chassis. We can actually see you may not be able to see it, but there's quite a bit of rust and stuff around here because that's where it leaked out and it's caused the corrosion there. Yeah, this little sucker is yellow. It's very yellow. It's definitely lost its original platinum color. No, no, no. Okay, cleaner temp. I use 50 degrees Celsius, and I do like to let them bathe for a while. You gonna help? You're not gonna help. No, not that way. Come here. Come on. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. She wants to perch herself on my microscope. She likes to sit on my microscope. Ugh. Come on. Don't be a pain. All right. You sit on the microscope. Just for now. There you go. Just wait. There you go. Got it? Got it? Good. Okay. Okay. All right. So here we go. What now? What now? No. All right. I'm going to go put this chicken to bed because, well, actually, I'll tell you what I will do. I'm just going to shut the door so that she can't come in here. So bear with me a minute because she's very, very persistent. Right. Okay. Straight back again. Okay. Good. Sorry about that, folks. My apologies. But she doesn't quite get the whole concept. Now we're going to pull this thing apart. Sorry for that distraction. She's a very friendly little chicken, I must say. Which is quite good. She wasn't when she was younger, but she has developed into a much friendlier chicken than she used to be. 4 screws on this to undo to open these up. I am using a T15 Torx driver to remove the 4 screws. All 4 screws are the same. They are this sort of plasticky sort of, the ones that are designed to screw into plastic. And taking the back off is really easy. It's not like opening up a Classic or Classic 2 where they're really, really stiff and hard to remove. These ones just slide off nice and easy. Like it. Now, if you are new to the removal of an analog board from a Color Classic, I would recommend you watch my video. Jump onto Brankus Creations, my YouTube page for Brankus Creations, and you will find in the featured videos removing the analog board of a Color Classic. Now, obviously, there are all sorts of safety things we need to consider when we're dealing with this. Who's off? Who's off? You're off, are you, Steve? Okay, thank you for watching. See you later. Sorry you missed out on the beginning of the stream with the recapping of the 840, the last little bit of the 840 AV. But anyhow, we'll look forward to seeing your stream when you're going to finish yours off as well. So, right. So yeah, as I was saying, so these. Oh wow, that's been removed. Interesting. So there are a few indications here that this analog board has never come out before. But there are safety precautions, and remember all the disclaimers. I accept no responsibility. You do this sort of stuff at your own risk if you decide to follow it. I also have a video on my YouTube channel about discharging a CRT on a compact Mac. So I would recommend, if you do want to do this, watch these videos. It might save your life, but I totally understand if you don't want to do it. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to make people want to do it and everything. I've got my discharge rod here connected to ground, and I'm going to put it under here. Now, I don't need to do this now because this has been off for a long time, but I'm just going to put it there in case there is any charge in there. Not only that, this computer does have a bleeder resistor. Apparently, the bleeder resistors are built into the flybacks on these. But don't quote me on that. Yeah. Okay, off comes. That's the anode cap. Off she goes. We got it down in the stream of the road. got zapped by an IMAX flyback. Yeah, no, they would be a fair bit of charge in an IMAX flyback, I can tell you. So the next thing we need to do is we need to remove the degauss cable. Ouchie, that was sharp. Don't do it with a scalpel like I just did. That was just stupid. We need to remove this thing off the back. This is stuck on with Celastic. Here, it's this plastic gooby stuff. So we're going to need to cut that. Cutting, 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 cutting. Very carefully, of course. And then we need to gently work this off. Has it already been? No. Okay. And when you put this back on, you can choose to put new Celastic on it, or you can just leave it. No, it's cut. It's the word that hates me, Celastic. Yes, I've had discussions with Jay about this before. It's just, I have the same issue with other words. There are some words that just don't go in. And for Jay, Celastic is that word. He just can't seem to remember the word Celastic. Off comes this little grounding wire. This is the microphone cable. This has a microphone up here. You can't see it. It's beyond my fingers. But up here, up here, up here, up there is a little microphone. Not a webcam, as you would see in modern computers. This is the yoke cable that needs to come out. And is that everything? I feel like it's everything. And then the little speaker cable needs to be undone here at the back. I know you can't see it. If you want to get really good views of all this stuff that I'm doing, watch my video of removing an analog board from a Color Classic. I do close-ups and everything. So this now comes out. Out we come, out, 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 out. And then you've got to be very careful with these to make sure that everything, you know, you're not catching on anything. All the wires are released. And then we can just lift that out. And there's our analog board. Ta-da! I'm going to put that to one side. Oh, where am I going to put this bloody Classic? I've got no space in here anyway. Hang on. Let me see if I can make some room. Hey, caramba. Alright, let's see if we can put him over here. Okay, well, hang on. Hot snot. Yeah, that's a good word. Stop making sense. It's 3 a.m. Wait, most sense. Yeah, look, well done, guys. I mean, it's Saturday night. I realised, oh, this has got the original Connor hard drive in it. How about that? You know, congratulations to you guys for staying up so late. I do appreciate it. I mean, it was just a bit of a change for me. I've generally in the past, I've always tried to stream for the benefit of my US friends because, you know, sort of, you know, it's just so they can watch it if they want to. I like to stream sort of earlier in the day. But as I said before, I've got work to do. I may as well stream it while I'm doing it. So here's the analog board. We've got this little metal shield on the bottom here. And this is the speaker cable. Let me just zoom in. If you stream it, they will come. How are we sitting? Well, 16 people will come anyway. So this is the speaker cable. Hangs out the front here, then it's taped to this metal shield, and then you plug it in at the back where the speaker is. The speaker is actually removable. It's a little thing like this. It's velcroed on. It looks like that. That's the speaker there. And yeah, it's just got these Velcro strips on there, and it just Velcros into the case. So it's, you know, quite a nifty little thing. Not the best speaker out there, but not the worst. Okay. Then we need to take this metal shield off. Now, in order to do that, it needs to slide off. And there are these little metal tabby things just here, like this. Just give them a little bit of a bend. This is really grubby. Look how grubby my hands are now. Filthy, filthy. And then slide it forward, and off she comes. I really should change the camera angle on this, shouldn't I? I'm sort of viewing right here, and I sort of need to be here. Okay, so that's off. We can now see a little bit of dust and grime and stuff here. You can see these little dark patches. I don't know if you can see these dark patches, but there's one here, and that's because these are areas on this board that generate quite a lot of heat. And so they just leave these kind of heat stains on there. That's quite normal. Don't freak out if you see that. This analog board gets hot. The Color Classic analog board gets hot. Probably design flaws, that sort of thing. Now, the areas that are a problem on the Color Classic analog board. And here. So I've seen a few of these different boards. Now this here is a 3300 microfarad, 3300 microfarad, 16 volt right there. Now this is also a 3300 microfarad 16 volt. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? One of them. One of these taller ones. That one there. That's a 3300 microfarad 16 volt. So this and this are both the same capacitance. However, you can see this one here has been made as a little squishy down one, a little flat one, low profile capacitor. This guy leaks. Usually one of these leaks. These guys here can leak. They're meant to be stuck down, these come unstuck. So generally what I do, I don't replace all the caps. A lot of these little guys down here, you may not be able to see them, I may not be zoomed in enough. But okay. Okay, where are we? Oh, sorry, we've got a question to it. Do you have any SCSI to SD? Just thinking while you have it pulled apart. No. in a word, I don't. I sold my last one just recently. I had a bunch of SCSI to SD version 5.0. And I just sold my last one the other day. I am planning to buy a few more, but they do come from China. They take a few weeks to arrive. So yeah, unfortunately, no, at the moment I don't have one, Mike. So you'll, but you know, I mean, I can sort of let you know when I will have one. So yeah, so when it comes to these smaller caps like this, I generally don't worry about recapping those. There's lots of them here. When it comes to recapping an analog board like this, what you're trying to do is you're trying to obviously preserve it as much as possible, but you're also trying to do it in as cost-effective a fashion as you can. If I go in and replace every single capacitor on this board, the costs would be ridiculous. I mean, it would be more than this computer is worth. So you have to find this balance. You've got to find this balance of replacing the capacitors that are most likely to fail, or have already failed, to try and prolong the life of it, but you don't necessarily go and replace all of them. So yeah, so I know for a fact that these tall, thin ones like this, and like this, and like this, have a very high failure rate, and you'll probably find that when I take these off, some of them are probably leaking already. Do the transformers like to fail too? Generally, no. I mean, they can fail, but I have never had a transformer fail. So it's usually just the caps, you know. I'll tell you what I have also had fail on Mike's, one of Mike's Color Classics, I might add, is this guy here. So this is the, I think it's horizontal deflection transistor. And I had one where this failed. So that guy there. So anyhow, what we now need to do is we need to start removing some of these caps. Now I do have a cheat sheet for this in my little pile of non-filing here. Now it can't be too far away because I did one of these quite recently. So yeah, logic would say, should say, that it'll be up the top here somewhere. So excuse me while it's just fine, mate. Oh crikey, it's getting dark out there. I need to put my chickens to bed. I'll have to step away for a moment and put my chickens to bed. Now that, no, that's a, hang on. No, that's a classic or a classical classic 2 analog board. Analog board ones are a little easier to find because they've got great big fat capacitors on them. That looks like the little guy. No, no it doesn't. Is it possible that instead of it being right on top, it's right on the bottom? Well, it depends on how I put it away, doesn't it? But with these analog boards, it's really important to have a recapping guide when you do them. It's not like the logic boards where they're, maybe only 2 or 3 different types of capacitor there. With these ones, you've got all sorts of different types of capacitor. And so it is really important to have a guide. Yes, of course, we are heading into the short days. So, yeah, getting dark quite early now. Yeah, very short days at the moment. I mean, keep in mind we're in the opposite, I think. Let me think. Yeah, today's the last day of, obviously you guys will be starting summer tomorrow, so we're starting winter tomorrow. So the days are very, and when I say tomorrow, I mean, yeah, it's already after midnight there, so yeah, fair enough. Sorry, still searching. There it is. That's one of my older ones, but I'll see if I've got a newer one. There's a newer one. Yep, so it was right near the bottom, of course. Oh, there's another one. I found 3 of them. Yeah, okay. I found it. Call off the search now. Everything's fine. I found 3 copies of exactly the same thing with slight variations because I do sometimes update them. So that was the original one I did. He can go away. This is the most recent one, is this one I'm holding in my right hand. You will find this guide on Recap a Mac. Okay, Jeff Bernard, hello. Like in Sydney, but it's been pretty grey here in Adelaide. It's only 4:30 p.m. here, but it feels like it's getting dark already. Weather's been lovely today, I have to say. We've been really lucky. We had some nasty weather, but we're right in a dry spell at the moment, and it's really, really nice at the moment. So I can't complain. It's beautiful autumnal weather, as we say. Right, so before I get cracking on this, I am going to go and put my chickens to bed. So if you'll excuse me for a few minutes, I'll leave you with a nice zoomed in image of capacitors. There we go. Actually, how about, look at all this. See all the goo? Look at that. That's from leakage, that is. The stuff is sticking to it because it's sort of oily. So, yeah. All right. I'll leave you with that image while I go and quickly put my chickens to bed. I do apologize for that, but, chickens wait for no one. So, excuse me for just a minute, and I will duck off. Duck off. So, did you guys see the chicken? Yeah, I see a few little comments there. I'll just hopefully, I don't think I can get her in. Can you get her in? There she is. There she is. What are we going to do about you, hey? Can't stay there. Come on. Come on. Excuse me. I want to take this chicken outside, where she's supposed to be. And the problem is the chickens are really horrible to each other. The term pecking order comes to mind. They're really mean to new chickens in the flock. So she would actually rather sleep solitary. She basically has to sit out there and wait till the other chickens go to bed, and then she'll head in. But it's just part of nature, I'm afraid. So we are removing capacitors today. So I'm going to need my solder sucker. No rooster to round them up. You can't actually keep roosters in suburban Sydney. It's against the law. So, yeah. You can keep hens, but not roosters. This is my machine. It goes, We do have a name for it, but if we mention it, it will be a little insulting for a particular person, and I do not wish to do that in one of my live streams. But we know who we're talking about. Okay, so these caps have got to come out. Hello, Nate. Thank you for joining the stream. We are about to start pulling out some capacitors from this Color Classic analog board. So we'll be pulling some solder, sucking some solder out of here. As I've mentioned in my streams in the past, you can do that with a manual solder sucker, something along these lines. You can do it with solder braid, or you can use a fancy mechanical guy like this that goes bzz, bzz, like that. So I can just put this on here. You can't see. I'm going to do it there. And put this onto the pins here and heat it up. Oh, it's not hot yet. Oh no, should be hot. Yep. So there's one there. Okay. Yep, it's melting. Suck all that solder away. Guess what I can smell? No, don't guess that. You're likely to say something stupid. But I can smell electrolyte. I can smell burning electrolyte. So we have got definite leakage going on here, which is kind of good. I mean, I think when you're doing a recapping job, it's nice to know that you're not, that you've got caps that need to be replaced. Oh, look at that. Look at it. Oh, should I put this here? I'll try not to melt anything. If I go like this, look at that. It's nice. Okay, so there's no doubt about the fact that that capacitor needs to be replaced. Now let's lift this one off. This is stuck on with that hot snot, so I'm gonna lift that out. We've got the same going on here, same level of corrosion there. So yeah, absolutely no doubt that this one needed recapping, so that's good. Makes you feel a little bit better. Right, okay. Right, Mean Girls Poultry Edition, I do like that. Solder sucker is still arrived in the US, hasn't left the docks yet apparently. Okay, so there's a little story there. These particular solder suckers, which I speak very highly of, that was a hot air station base falling off the edge of the desk. Here it is. There we go. So that happens sometimes. That way around. Yeah, cool. So what I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted was this is a solder sucker that I use. It's made by Gut, the same company that make the solder wick that I use. And I speak very highly of it. It's got a really big chamber, so it doesn't have to be cleaned out very often. It's very easy to clean out because it opens up very easily. It's got a lot of high power suction, so I like this. And when I recommended it, House of Moth, Jay tried to actually buy one, and they were ridiculously expensive. I mean, like, so expensive that they're actually cheaper for me to buy one here in Australia and send it to them there in the US. But there was an issue, and that was the fact that when I sent it off, it took a month before, well, anything. I mean, I actually contacted them and said, where is this? What's going on with it? And I never heard back from them. And then all of a sudden, we got this message saying, hey, it's arrived in the US. So, yeah, funny one. I'm undoing these 3 at once because they are all glued together with hot snot. And I think it'd just be easier to get them out if they all come out together. Come on. Come on. I have to put this down for a moment, excuse me. I'm a little bit crowded in this desk, you may have noticed. What? Oh man, I can't see anything. No? I think it's just glued to the, yeah, it's just glued to the board. Hot snot. I don't see any leakage on these. Just going to quickly check. Oh yeah, we got leakage. You betcha. Look at that. There. We've got this corrosion on these. Yep. There's absolutely no doubt about the fact that these caps need to be replaced. So, oh, yeah. I can see it too. Right. Right, I'm getting caught here. Right, so let's continue with the removal of these capacitors. So I'm going to take off, oh, look at this one. Just going to see if I can tell a photo under this and you can see what it is I'm referring to when I say, ooh, look at this one. Ready? This way. That one there. You can't really see it really well. Sorry, I'm having trouble illustrating it. But anyhow, that capacitor just far out. This is annoying. That capacitor there is swelling at the top. So, yep. All right. So let's get rid of those. So I'm going to take out this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. All these big ones along here. Line of them. How do I keep ending up down here without my super magnify glasses? Oh no, here they are. Thank goodness. I clip these onto my normal glasses and they give me 3 times magnification. And it makes life a lot easier for me with my old eyes. I can't see anything anymore. Everyone just talks nonsense these days. No one has any manners. And that heavy metal music. Well, this is the swollen one, and he's bulging out both sides. So, yeah, nasty. Good thing that we're replacing that one. And I started sucking. Come in. Just bear with me a moment. Hello, I'm back. I am back. My wife has been out. She just arrived home, so I wanted to say hello. Well, she wanted to say hello, and I wanted to return the favour. That one doesn't look too bad. Hello, Mrs. Brankus. I love it. I love it when they say that. You mentioned you don't replace all the caps. Wouldn't that be a good idea, though, to future-proof it a little? Yeah, I mean, yes. The short answer is yes. The short answer is yes, it would be good to replace every single capacitor on this. But the whole problem really stems with the value of these computers. I mean, there is a cost associated with the capacitors. There's a cost associated with my time. And if I end up going and saying, you know what, we'll do a complete recap on this thing. I've just desoldered the wrong thing. Or something else. What did I desolder? What have I desoldered? I don't even know. I can't even see what I've desoldered. I've desoldered something. Ah, there it is. Something I don't want to take out. It's a little coil. I better solder him back on before he falls off. Whoop! Look at look at what I did with the mouse. Oh dear. Shall we? There we go. No. Okay, so apart from reefers, do other caps spark and blow smoke? No, not that I'm aware of. Oh, actually, I shouldn't say that. You know, a tantalum capacitor can blow up and go and smoke and blow things up. Electrolytics tend not to. They tend to just sort of bulge and leak. But, okay, let's just put this back together. So, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, if I was dealing with a customer that said, look, you know what, I want you to replace every single capacitor on the board, don't care what it costs, go ahead and do it. Yeah, I mean, it would probably be the most sensible thing to do. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just not sure how many folks would want to do that. This is not the right tip for what I'm doing. Can't see properly. I'm in close-up view. Heating up, 128, 135, 150, 169, 100, 200, 250, 300, 350, 400, 450. There we go. All right, let's just push him. Don't push me. Okay. Oh, thank you, Jay, very, very much for that. Be fun, but it's time for me to depart. I quite understand. I thank you for hanging around for so long. I congratulate you for hanging around for so long. My goodness. You know, but thank you very much for joining, and thank you very much for the super chat. That is much appreciated. I mean, the most important thing these days with reefers is to replace them. I mean, even if they're still in one piece, if you see a reefer in there, replace it. Replace it with a modern alternative that's not going to pop. Not going to go bang. I need my machine again. And let's see if I can manage to take off the correct capacitor this time. It's got to be that, surely. 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 Don't call me Shirley. Yep. That one's okay, but not brilliant. Okay. Apart from reefers, would anything else set off fire alarms? I wouldn't have thought so. I would be very surprised. I mean, look, anything that's electronic can, I guess, have, you know, shorts and stuff. This has definitely got leakage on it. I can see stuff coming out from underneath the plastic case of that. So that's good or bad, depending on how you look at it. And it's bad that it's happening, but it's good that we're replacing them. There's another one. Oh, he's got a little bit of leakage on him as well. We have got winners for leakage on this board. Phantasmagorical. Just having a look around here. Okay. So then I've got a few more that I want to remove. I want to remove this little fat one down here as well. This little fatty. Come on. Come on, fatty. Where are you? I think that's, yep, that's those two there. Get out of the way. Yep, he's leaking as well. Oh wow. Got a resistor that looks really bad here as well. But having said that, it's fairly normal for that one to look like that. And don't you hate the way all these things are round and they roll off the end of the table? Okay, we've got another tall, thin one here. And my rule is, generally with these old ones, the tall, thin ones are the most likely to leak. Ah, but that one made a liar of me. I'm going to do this little guy down here, which I think is that. He's alright too. Yeah, I mean, I do replace some of these ones that probably don't need replaceage, but you know, I'd better to be safe than sorry with these, I guess. Take this one off. I'll do this one too. And I think there's one more here that I'm going to do. Just here. And then that's it. That's all of them off. And we just need to start replacing. I think that's it there. He doesn't look too bad either. Yeah, it really does seem to be with these, just those caps. And I guess it has to do with the conditions they're under, additional heat stresses, you know, most probably, or perhaps they're being used close to their, you know, sort of their capabilities, whereas some of the others are maybe running less voltage through them, so they're not being pushed as hard. But that is all I'm going to replace. Those ones that I have just taken off. There's a fair few of them. And incidentally, this will probably be the last Color Classic analog board I'll do for just for a little while, only because I think I'm nearly out of some of the caps that I need. I'll need to restock on some of them. I want to get some of this snot off, this hot snot. Come on. Come on. All right. Don't use Australia Post, yes. I haven't had anything like the issues I've had trying to get that thing across to Jay in the States. It's incredible. I don't know. I guess let's just blame COVID. Can we blame COVID? Yeah, let's blame COVID. It smells like something's burning. Okay, time to start replacing some capacitors. The first thing I'm going to do is get a little toothbrush, and I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning, get rid of some of the gunk that is left behind. I am not going to ultrasonic this board. as much as I would like to. Ultrasonicking analog boards is a little bit tricky, a little bit difficult. There are so many places on an analog board where moisture might potentially get trapped. And even with the oven, I would be worried. So I tend to just try and clean up all the scunge and gunk with, you know, isopropyl alcohol and a toothbrush. Oh dear, lovely, lovely, very lovely. Okay, and now we start the putting togetherage. Nice and easy. So we've got quite a few different voltages and that. We've got 100 volt, 25 volt, 10 volt, 60 volt, 35 volt, and of course I have all of my capacitors sorted into voltages. So I now need to go and get my 100 volt container, which is shared with 200 volts by the looks of it. And what was it? Was it 25? No, yes, a 25. So 25. Where am I going to put all these things? 35. Don't need 63. Nope. 35. 16. There we go. I think that's all of them. That's all I need for this particular job. Oh, was it 10? Yep, 10. And 10. So, let's start with the 10s because that's what I have in my hand. Right, I need, in 10 volt, I need 2. I need 2 times 5600. They're these ones that are lying down here. So, where are they? Oh, phew. I have got 2 left. Time to restock. So these are the guys that are going to sit here. And then I've got another 10. I've got 1 by 1000. 1000. Oh, actually, there might be more than one because I took a few more off, didn't I? 1000. Is it 1000? 1010 volt. That's 1010 volt there. Any more? I think it is only just the one. Right, so let's do those. Get started, get rolling. Sooner we start, sooner we finish. And it is getting to that sort of time where I want to start putting my feet up because it's Sunday night. Did I just drop a cap? I did. Oh dear, I always make terrible old man noises when I do that. Okay. And boom, back. Welcome back. So, how do we know which way is plus and which is minus on these? Well, they generally have a little plus sign etched onto the board. There is a little plus sign just there. But then you also have this little icon here, like schematic diagram type icon. And there's a little rectangle and then a little flat bit. And the little flat bit is the negative. And on electrolytic capacitors, the negative is indicated by a big stripe. So we want that to go like that. And same with this one. He is going to go like that. Now, what's interesting about these is that they don't go in like that at all. They won't work at all like that because they don't fit. So what we have to do with these, we actually have to bend these pins down like that. And bend and stretch. And then we plonk those in and they will lie sideways. They're quite a bit smaller than the originals, but that's just because of, you know, technology. All right, so bend these pins just a little bit so they don't fall out. grab this capacitor that desperately wants to roll off my desk, and see if I can get this into camera for a bit of soldering. One rolled under the board too. I think that might have been one of the dead ones, so I think we might be okay with that, one of the originals. Right, so let's solder these in. Got my solder. Right, just going to, as usual, when I'm soldering sort of through-hole capacitors, I tend to solder one pin, and then I just push underneath to make sure that we're nice and flush on the board, like that. And then I solder the second one. Now, one of the things I do like to generally remind people of from time to time, because I do think it's important to mention this, when I do this stuff, whether it be soldering, recapping, you know, anything, I am not necessarily saying to anyone, this is how it should be done. Because I do every now and again, people jump on and say, oh, I don't do it that way, I do it like this. And it's like, yeah, that's cool. I mean, I'm not actually saying to you, your way is wrong, my way is right. That is not the way I think at all. I'm simply showing you the way that I like to do it. I have, with a lot of these things, tried different methods. And these are the methods that I arrive upon, that I like, that I find work best for me. So I just always feel like it's important to mention that from time to time. I want to show something here, something that I'm actually going to try and rectify here. On this particular board, there are two diodes which get insanely hot. And I can actually see that they've actually started to cause the solder to melt on the other side of the board. Now the problem is that when the solder starts to melt and it starts to crack open, it's not making good contact, it creates resistance, resistance creates more heat, and it spirals out of control. And the next thing you know, these things are going to get really, really hot and blow and all that sort of stuff. So before I do any more, actually I'll put that one cap on that's floating around here, which came from, here's a 10 volt 1000, 1010, 1010, 1010, there we go, 1010. That is, and no, I don't memorize where all these things go. There's just no way. There's no way I would. No reason I would. I need the cheat sheets too. It would help if I had this facing the same direction, wouldn't it? The layout makes a lot more sense when I do that. Okay, 1010. In he goes. I know that every now and again I'm doing things, or a lot of the time I'm doing things outside of the picture, and I apologize for that. It is quite difficult. I would love to have a camera directly above me, but I haven't yet figured out a way to make that work. One day. Another capacitor, saved from ruin. Right. So, what was I going to do? I was going to try and deal with these super, super hot things. Now, this is going to be a bit tricky because I've got to get this microscope up high. Oh, like that. Oh, that's a bit high. That's too high. Come on. Down. Oh, there. This thing's really heavy, by the way, because it's got counterweights on it. Because obviously this part at the front is heavy, and then you need to have counterweights on the other side so that it doesn't topple over. So it's just a really heavy unit. So let's have a look at this. This is going to look a bit wonky, but we'll see how we can do it. Right. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Come on, where are you? Over here. Bring this out a bit. That's the ugly area right there. You see what's going on there? We've actually ended up with heat that's got to the point that it's melted the solder here. So I want to sort that out. I want to clean this up a little bit, so I'm going to put some flux on there. I'm going to add some new solder, try and clean it up a bit. This board is at a slight angle, so it's going to kind of drift in and out of focus, and for that I apologize in advance. So I'm just sort of cleaning at this stage. Right, now let's get rid of some of all that solder that I've just plonked onto there. Okay, now you need to go in there, and you need to move there. Thank you. They don't make tantalum equivalents of these big boys. So the argument for using unleaded solder, that is very, very true. Yes, it would be a very good argument for using unleaded solder. I don't have any because I hate this stuff. But yes, that would be somewhere where I would quite happily concede. Having said that, of course, are these ones already using unleaded solder? I can't remember. It seems to be coming off fairly easily. So, tantalum is a very expensive mineral, and it really is only cost effective to use tantalums for quite small measurements. When it comes to these larger measurements, you are forced into using electrolytics. There are lots of issues with electrolytics. I get that. I understand. But electrolytics are also a necessary evil. And for these larger capacitors and power supplies and stuff like that, you do have to use electrolytics. It's your only real option. Right, so now let's go in and solder these again. It's going to make it harder to heat that up now, isn't it? Great big blob of solder like that. There we go. All right. It ain't the prettiest thing in the world, but it's not going anywhere. It's interesting. I mean, this classic must have, I don't know, been left on for really long periods of time or something. Doesn't normally look this bad on these things. Goop. I had an air bubble in there by the looks of it. Okay. All right. I'm content that we've got that, and there's quite a large piece of metal there, which hopefully might work as a little bit of a heat sink. Maybe help dissipate some of the heat coming off those. We'll see. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, but they just every single color classic I've ever done, analog board I've ever done, they are just always they've just got these particular areas. There's here and and here, they just have these little pockets of intense heat, which means that the power supply was probably, it's probably, you know, sort of doing more than it, you know, perhaps not the best design of the power supply, I guess, is what I'm saying. I don't want to say anything too rude, in case the watcher of, you know, maybe the designer of this analog board looks at it and sort of says, "Oh, I didn't design it that way." Okay. So anyone who happens to be watching this didn't see the beginning of the stream. I basically got a Color Classic with a very badly battery damaged logic board. Once I had a look at it under the microscope, it became fairly clear that it was not worth repairing. So that board is going to become a donor board. It will be used to hopefully bring to life some other ones. We also discovered when we were looking at it that it is not actually a Color Classic board. It is a Color Classic 2 or an LC520. They're virtually the same. So this one here took the caps off it, going to give it a clean, but this is just going to become a donor board. So no repairs on that one. However, it does have a perfectly good analog board that we're going to recap and get ready to, and we're actually going to turn it into, we won't be doing this tonight, we're going to recap it, but I'm going to be turning this into a Mystic, a Color Classic Mystic. If you want to know how to do a Mystic upgrade, I have a video that explains the whole process on my channel in the featured videos section. You can have a look at that. I won't be doing the Mystic upgrade here, just going to be doing the recapping. So let us continue. That's just for the 10 volts. Now let's move on to the 16s. Let's have a couple of 1016s. Teetering. We've got 1016. Geez, I'm glad it's a couple. I've only got a couple. I need to order some more of those as well. 1016s. Let's just make sure I didn't accidentally remove more, more than I had. Yep. They were so slow booting, why would you ever turn one off? Yeah, it's a fair call. That is a fair call. Very, very underpowered. I mean, the funny thing about the Color Classic is that people generally like them. I mean, if you think about them in terms of practicality and the sort of computer that they were a bit stupid, really. I mean, they were massively underpowered. There were computers out there way faster than them. The screen size was kind of absurd, 512 by 384 pixels. Now, that even though it was color, there were a lot of games you couldn't play on that screen. They would just, you'd launch them and they'd go, cannot play this game on the screen size. I mean, even something like, I think Warcraft needed 640 by 480. So to some extent, they were a bit of a, you know, a bit of a weird computer in that there wasn't that much you could really do with them, I suppose. I mean, you know, they were used, I suppose, a bit for students and stuff like that. Maybe using them to type up assignments. Perhaps they didn't have much desk space, so they liked the idea of having the little tiny computer on there. I get that, I suppose. But you know, just massively underpowered. 16 megahertz 6803R. By this stage, there was way faster computers out. So, okay. Sorry, I know I'm out of camera for this top one. I really should point the camera up a bit when I'm doing this stuff. The zoom, I can make it happen without having to move my butt. I can just sit here and be lazy and just press a button and make it zoom in and out. But if I want to direct the camera upwards, I've got to get up. And as you can tell from my finely toned physique, how much I love getting up. Okay, 2 more capacitors. Found a new home. Obviously, if you were in a situation where you were doing a recapping on one of these and you didn't have a guide, you could just maybe take one cap off and then put the next one on so you don't get them all mixed up. Or classic series, how much interest was nostalgia? Yeah, I mean, so one of the benefits of the Classic 2, and I mentioned this in one of my Classic Color Classic, one of my Color Classic videos, was that it did have a processor direct slot. You could attach an Apple IIe card to it. So for the education sector, that a lot of them were already using Apple IIes. They certainly had Apple IIes at my school when I was a youngster. Apple were trying to wean them off the Apple IIs and start getting them to use Macintoshes. But of course, they had a significant investment in software and stuff like that, educational software that they were using on the Apple IIe systems. So it was kind of hard to get them to move. Now, with the Color Classic, with an Apple IIe card in it, it meant that people in the education sector could still use those IIe applications, but then at the same time slowly weaning them off that onto the Macintosh operating system, because that's obviously what they're using. It worked better with that. So, so I guess with certainly the Color Classic, it played a role, and as I say, it was also quite popular with students because it didn't take up much desk space. So if people are in sort of apartments or something like that, don't have much room, they can just stick the little Color Classic on the desk, all in one, and in color. But the classics in general, I mean, just by the name, they're essentially just revamping it. Classic 2, Color Classic. I mean, they were really just, getting kind of nostalgic. And it's very easy to look at it now and say, why would you do that? Why would a computer company who has made, had computers getting progressively faster, then suddenly go out and release this computer X amount of years later? I'm thinking about the Classic, the Macintosh Classic, which came out in 1990? I don't know. I can't remember when. I'm sure someone can look it up. When that came out, they went right back. I mean, we're now talking the same CPU that was in a Macintosh Plus, Macintosh 128K, 512K, SE, a 68000 CPU in that thing, 4 megabytes maximum memory on it, and you just look and you think, what a backward step to bring that computer out. I'm fading. Oh, Dana's fading. All right. Once again, Dana, thank you for hanging around. I know it's coming up for, what is it, 4 in the morning or something ridiculous like that. So thank you for hanging on for as long as you did. I mean, I appreciate that the Americans will start to drift off at some stage, and then hopefully maybe some people in my time zone or other time zones might start coming in. But anyhow, we are getting close to the end. But as Dana has noticed, I just started waffling, so that always means that I could be here for a long time. So thank you for watching, Dana, and goodbye. So anyhow, the original Classic, it just seemed like an incredibly backward step. But I guess, these days where you're just always expecting computers to come out faster and faster and faster, it wasn't that weird a move for someone to bring out a low-cost computer that was slower. I suppose that still happens these days, doesn't it? You go out and you can buy an expensive computer that's super fast, and you can go and get a cheapie that's slow. I mean, the whole thing with the Classic was trying to make a computer that was really, really cheap. It was for the purpose of penetration, to try and get it into as many homes, as many schools as possible. And so they were selling them, low power but very cheap. So, yeah. Okay, so what are we up to now? I've done a couple of 10s. I did 16. I did two 1016s. Now let's go two 3316s. I've got two different types of 3316s. I've got great big long ones, like this, little cigar capacitors. And then I've got a little short fat one, which I'm going to put that on in a moment. So we'll start with these. Yes. Having said that, the Amiga, I think, managed to squeeze more out of its processor than the Macs did. perhaps not as much overhead in terms of operating system and stuff like that. Okay, so these are these ones. I'm definitely not operating as fast as I usually do today. I think it's maybe because it's Sunday afternoon or evening. I'm starting to fade a little myself, so I will try and speed this up so that people aren't, you know, still watching this recapping in the next, you know, next few hours. I would like to be all done and dusted within, let's say, 30 minutes. Oh, come on. Having trouble getting to where I want to get to here, which you probably can't see because it's just outside of camera. That's how I like to operate, you know? Keep people guessing. What's he doing there? I say. What is he doing there? Secret recapping. All right, there's 2 more capacitors. Generally, when I'm doing sort of recapping, depending on the power supply, but a power supply like this, it costs me a lot more in the cost of capacitors, because there are quite a few different types, some, you know, different shapes and sizes and that, and so that's the sort of thing I just have to factor in when I'm costing this sort of stuff out. You know, how much is it going to cost me for all the capacitors I'm going to be putting in this thing. Okay, so I'm now going to replace the little fat one that sits down there. So that one goes this way around. This is the one just here. I referred to him before. He's a common problem or a common troublemaker. And I'd say that the main reason he's a troublemaker is because he lives right next to hot things. And as I have mentioned in my streams before, heat is the enemy of the electrolytic capacitor. Shortens its lifespan. Okay. Right, hang on. Choose music now. Okay, so let's just do this one little cap here. People, if they're wanting to get into electronics and soldering and stuff like that, working with through holes is definitely easier than working with surface mount stuff. So I'd always recommend that first. You know, jump on and grab some kits and stuff like that. Build your own little things. A few through hole components. I don't certainly in Australia here we have a retail chain called J-Car. They sell kits. You can just walk in and buy kits and walk out. I assume there's the same sort of thing in other countries. It's what I don't think they exist anymore, but it's essentially like Radio Shack in the US. Excuse me. Terrible frog in my throat tonight. COVID! No, it's not COVID. Right, let's move along. I think I might do these ones over here soon because I'm scared that I'm going to forget about them because they're hiding. What's that one? It's that one, that one, that one, that one. So that is a 47-100. That is a 10-250. And that is a 100-100. So I've got more than one 100-100. Yep. So I'm going to need my 250s as well. Where are they? Was it? It was 250, was it? 10 microfarad 250. I've definitely got them. I just don't know where they are. Because I think I've got capacitors for absolute. Yeah, here we are. Right on top. I've got capacitors. I've got replacement capacitors for every single capacitor on this board. Well, I did until tonight. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly do these ones. Oh, don't fall over. So a little 10 to, well, let's check and make sure. 10-250. Oh, there was a time when I would have been able to read that without glasses. I'm getting old. Sorry, this is getting so dull. I'm going to speed this up. There we go. All right. Sorry, I'm quoting Family Guy. I do that rather a lot. I tend to quote Family Guy, you know, about every half an hour. Any other Family Guy viewers out there? Anyone want to hit me with some Family Guy trivia? Okay. That one, and sorry, I'm just concentrating a little bit here so I don't lose my thread. And that one is a 470-100. So we've got 100 there. Right. So I think that's it for the 16s. Yep, that's it for the 16s. So we can move that out of the way. And then we've got some 35s. I miss Radio Shack. Yeah, so Radio Shack, yeah. Used to have Radio Shack. So you don't have anything to replace Radio Shack? We had two. We actually had two here. Well, possibly even three. We had Tandy, Dick Smith, Electronics, and then we had and JCar. And I think Dick Smith bought Tandy, or whoever bought Dick Smith bought both of them. Then Dick Smith went belly up, and then yeah, JCar's the only one left. But JCar have been quite clever about it because they're not just selling electronic components and kits. They sell toys, they sell power supplies, they sell you know, sort of phone chargers, they sell you know, network hubs, they sell computer parts, they sell, I mean, not like power supplies for computers and stuff like that, but they sell, you know, they sell network cables and that sort of thing, and they sell let me think, stuff for AV equipment and stuff like that. And I mean, I go in there all the time. They're just up the road from me, and I go in there all the time. And the place has always got people in there. So they've managed to, you know, I think, do quite well where others have failed. I think they've managed to kind of diversify in a way where they've turned themselves into a very sort of useful chain. And so, yeah, I'm very, very glad they still exist because I go there a lot. I've got a little membership card thing here. When I spend a certain amount of money, I get like $10 off my purchase. And the number of times I walk in there and they go, "Well, you've got $10," and it's like, oh god, I've been spending a lot again, haven't I? Okay, how like victory is mine. What Family Guy trivia moaning about Radio Shack? Yes, I'm sorry that you don't have Radio Shack anymore. It's so important, I think, certainly from my perspective, my hobby, to have a place like that. Stocking up on kits from Dick Smith when they were when they quit all their electronic lines in the late zeros, yeah, late noughties. Okay, so I'm gonna get through this, guys. I'm gonna get through this. 35 volts. We have got a 1000 35 volt. It's the last one of those as well. Boy, oh boy, boy, oh boy. I need to do a capacitor order. Okay, 1000 microfarad, 35 volt. There it is. Right there. That's a plus, that's a minus. It's funny, isn't it? You know, when I'm talking about doing recapping of things, and you know, people want to watch an instructional video of how to do something like that. And I mean, I go in and I do a video like this when I'm sort of recapping an analog board. But at the end of the day, you really only need to see one one capacitor come out and one go in. It's just the same thing over and over again. And I can try and provide a few tips and stuff. This board is not that bad in terms of trying to fit things or anything like that. I must create like a list of capacitors that you need to buy at some stage. So if someone wants to do this, they can just easily know which ones I need to buy. I love building kits. My main annoyance these days is most of those kits have been replaced with Arduino stuff. So where I want to go in and have a kit where I've just got, you know, all the components and put them all together. These days, most of those kit places are like buying all the Arduino components and putting them together and programming them, which I get the appeal, but it's not the same. It's not the same as getting your soldering iron out and making something. And of course, the other is that I love doing surface mount stuff. And in those kits, for obvious reasons, they don't do surface mount stuff. Every now and again, they might have a surface mount component, and often it's already stuck on the board. And I'm like, come on, you took all the fun away from me. Okay, that's 35. Now we've got some 100 volt. Oh, hang on, did I do a 25? No, I got a couple of 25s. 470, 25. Got heaps of these. Lots of different shapes and sizes. Now, where are they? 470, 25, 470, 25. They are here. That's this one and this one. So that's one. Two. Nice to watch someone else working. Well, I appreciate that. Working hard or hardly working, eh? Okay. There is no doubt about the fact that my live streams are rather esoteric in nature. You try and explain to someone, you're going to sit and watch someone solder in a live stream, I would think most people would say, oh, you're batty. Why would you want to do that? But it's funny, and I found that when I used to watch the Lewis Rossman streams. I used to watch quite a lot of Lewis Rossman back in the days when I was, you know, getting into computer repair. That we're talking about quite a few years ago now, but I used to watch Lewis Rossman streams, and you just sit there and watch him repair MacBooks for hours on end. It's like, you know, I used to enjoy it. Like, weird. Just sit there and watch and watch and watch. Sit and wait for him to say, I'm going to go get a burrito. Oh, I missed one. I missed two. What a loser. Okay, a 35, two 35s, a 220 35 and a 470 35. My 35s are here. 220 and 470. Running low on 470s as well. Boy, oh boy, this next capacitor order is going to be expensive, isn't it? There's my 470, and here's my 220. Ooh, the reason why I changed these capacitors, even though they weren't actually leaking, they are also in this region where it gets exposed to a fair bit of heat. So again, just a bit of a preemptive thing that they are possibly going to fail, more likely to fail sooner than some of the other capacitors on the board. So replace those. It's a funny thing with a lot of these vintage computers, when you consider there are all these additional costs associated with keeping these things going. You know, you might jump onto eBay and you say, "Oh, look at this computer! Oh, I picked up this computer for cheap." And you go, "Okay, no worries." Now you need to recap the logic board. Oh, okay, recap the logic board. And now you need to recap the analog board. Oh, okay, I'll recap the analog board. And then all of a sudden, you know, what started off as what seemed like a very inexpensive purchase of a vintage computer suddenly becomes a money pit. Oops. Okay. Got to be careful with these things when you cut the legs, when you cut the pins off these. You've got to check and make sure that they don't hang around, because they can sometimes get stuck on the bottom of the board. Especially if you're working with like things where there's speakers and there might be magnets, they can sometimes get stuck. I mean, look at this. Look at him. Stuck here. Gotta go. Can't stay. No way. All right. Okay. Now we are getting to the end here, folks. 100 volts. 100 volts. We need two 100 microfarad. Oh, wow. Today has just been an exercise in running out of capacitors, isn't it? 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100. And then we also had 47, 100. And I think that's my last. I think that's it. Okay, so let's do the 47, 100. Now, another thing to mention, if you are doing sort of your own recapping and you're thinking, okay, I want to go replace the capacitors, which capacitors do I buy? Well, you obviously have the two measurements, the 47 microfarad, 100 volts. So you've got your microfarad and your volts. That's what you need to look up. Then you also need to make sure you're getting one that is potentially a good quality one. They generally come in two different types of temperature ratings. One's 85 degrees Celsius and one's 105. Always go for 105. The higher the temperature, the longer they're likely to last. And then a lot of the capacitors are rated in their lifetime, number of hours that they operate for, if they're running at their full capacity. Try and go for ones with a higher number for that. Okay, so 47100, where does he go? He's there. That's that way around. But it's quite daunting if you go onto a supplier like DigiKey or Mouser or something like that, and you go and search for a component. You know, and you go, oh, okay, I need a 47 microfarad 100 volt capacitor. You type that in, and the next you know, you've got like 50 different choices of capacitor to buy from. And, you know, it's often quite hard to know, you know, what you should be buying. Okay. Let's do a little snippet of snoop. And that one up there is, yep, 100, 100. That's that one and that one. 100, 100. Oh my. Okay, and then let's say it's that one. 100, 100. There we go. Right, let me just check in the chat here. Yeah. Look, okay. you know, Aaron, when you're talking about your iMac that you call a money pit, at the end of the day, hobbies are money pits. All of them. You have a hobby, it's a money pit. Doesn't matter what the hobby is, but it's a money pit. And that's just part of it. I mean, you know, there's a cost involved with hobbies, I suppose, unless your hobby is, I don't know, walking. Oh, I suppose even then you're going to have to pay for shoes, aren't you? So, yeah, it's just how it goes. I mean, I've got an old car, a 1970s car. I mean, you know, there's always money that needs to be spent on that. Okay. Still less than a money pit. Well, yeah, I mean, one would like to think that a spouse and kids are not the same as a hobby as such. Well, so, right. Now that is theoretically, apparently, that's all of them. Just looking. Check and make sure that I haven't got any little gaps in here that I've forgotten to fill. Often when you replace these caps, you end up having to alter the screen geometry. Sometimes when you change these, you change, you know, sort of different voltages or whatever that might fluctuate slightly, and then all of a sudden your screen is this different shape. It might be squishy or whatever like that. So, do I lubricate the potentiometers? Do I lubricate the variable resistors? No, I don't. I mean, if I am making adjustments to them when it's in there and I find they're a little bit scratchy, if I find they're a bit, you know, they're not smooth, I might then. But generally, no, I don't just sort of do that standard off the bat. Maybe I should. Maybe I'm supplying lousy service. It's always possible. Just going to clean some of this gunk off. I'm not going to go crazy with cleaning, but I just want to get some of it off. Now, what I would always say to people whenever they've done a recapping job is go in and check every single capacitor. Make sure it is the correct polarity. Make sure it's the correct rating, and you know you've put the right cap in the right place. And you know why it's good to check? Because I've just got one of these caps around the wrong way. I'm going to flip it around the right way now, but this is why it's always good to check. Because even when you've done a whole stack of them, you can still make mistakes. Continuing to check. Yes. 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 And these things don't like it when you get capacitors. Did I do that wrong as well? No. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Okay, so I have one capacitor here that I have absolutely and definitely put on the wrong polarity. So I'm going to now take it out and correct the mistake that I made. And I think it is this end. So I get out the machine again. This cools down when you leave it for a while, so I'm going to wait for it to warm up. Yes, it would make sense to lubricate the potentiometers. You know. Get hot. Get hot. Wow. Isn't it amazing? God, I'm glad I checked. I am glad I checked. Right, so let's do it again the right way around. It was all planned, you know. I mean, I basically did it so I'd make the stream more interesting. Because I don't make mistakes. Okay, take two. What a fool. What a fool. Better, 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 better. Okay. Right, okay, right. All right, well, I guess the thing we need to do now is put it all back together. I am going to get some sticky snot, and I'm going to Celastic some of these capacitors that were originally stuck together. Sticky snot. Sticky snot. There we go. They're the main ones. Bit more snot. Bit more snot there. This is Celastic, as was discussed before in I think either this stream or another stream, which is kind of a silicon stuff, sealant. This is stuff specifically designed for use on electronic things. It's neutral curing, it's non-conductive, and so it can be used on electronic circuit boards. You don't have to be neat and tidy with it. I mean, the people who originally made these things never were, so I don't see why I should have to be as well. It's just, you know, just there to stop things like vibrations. So let's now put the shield back on. That way. We'll just put that around there. These little things go in the little holes, just like that. Do that, and then we'll bend these little tabs back down so it doesn't fall out. Right, and we've got a cable which has gone through here and it shouldn't have. Can I fit it through? Yes, I can. I need my stupid glasses again. It's not bad at all. Come on, in there, going down there. A little bit of tape. There we go. I don't have that. Oh god, my fingers are so dirty. The Captan tape. Kapton tape. I keep saying Captan. It's Kapton. Captain tape. Hold that in place. Looking good. Looking good. Let's put him in here. Oh, heavy, heavy. And it's just everything that we did before in reverse. Got to plug everything in. Right, let's just get him in there. I actually got hold of a classic where someone had obviously clearly tried to take the analog board out or put it back in without maybe realizing that it's on a little sliding thing here, and it was mangled. It took me so long to get it out because it was all jammed in metal and stuff like that. It was just a mess. It wasn't the owner who had done it, they had bought it that way, but obviously someone at some stage in the history, the past of that computer, had tried to remove it and just done a really, really lousy job of it. So we've got to get this little thing back onto the back here, being very, very gentle because we are dealing with glass. There we go. And then this, which had come off, needs to go there. And then this anode cap, which you're not going to be able to see because it's out of camera, has to go on here. Nice and tight. And then we've got a little grounding strap that goes onto here, like that. And then we've got a degauss cable, which goes here like that. remember, I do have a video that has close-ups going through all of this stuff, so that's all good. And then speaker cable. So now I don't have a logic board for this here. I do up in the house. I can go up and grab it so I can test this out. But I can at least at this stage switch it on, and it should go bong. It should make that degauss noise as long as I've got everything connected. Let me just check. And not quite all the way down. There we go. Well, that's all the way down. Dangerous voltages here. Do beware. Do beware. Okay. All good. So I'm keeping 240 volts in this cable. I'm going to plug it in. Now, if I've made a mistake, it might go pfft. Won't you be pleased if it does, and we'll give you some excitement, but I won't be. Let's see what happens. Okay, it made the right noises, it did the degauss. And the hard drive spun up, that's a good sign. Nice, nice. Okay, for the sake of everyone who is watching here, I am going to duck up to the house and grab a Color Classic logic board so that I can fire it up, we can see the screen, okay? So just give me 2 minutes. Well, you don't even need to give me 2. I know exactly where the board is. It's very easy for me to go and get. So if you will just indulge me a few minutes of your time, I will start this up, and then we can at least have seen a computer getting switched on today. Unlike all the other ones, it's like 840 AV, no power supply, can't start it up. Sorry. Right. Okay, back in just a moment. Oh my God, I have really painted myself into a corner here. Back in just a minute. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm nearly there. I'm here. Okay. Now I just gotta find a way. This is my Color Classic board. Sort of because I own one. Well, Performer 250. Some of my donor boards have fallen down here. They're only donor boards, so I don't care too much about them, but I still don't want to step on them or anything. So, this is my Color Classic board. What is a little bit interesting about this Color Classic board is the fact that I've replaced the original battery with a CR2032. Another thing that's interesting about it is it has a 68882 math coprocessor in the slot. When you bought these, that would have been an empty slot. I've got 256K of VRAM, and I've got two, I think they're 4s. And there's, I don't know, there's a limit. There's a limit to what it'll do, but anyhow. Okay, so let's put this in. Very gently. Get in there. Oh, geez, that's a bit of a worry. That was really jammed in there. What's going on? Let me check all the pins. Pins are okay. Okay. It's just very tight. But he do it. Okay. Well, it's in there. I'm not at all happy about the fact that it's that tight, but you know, we'll see. Sounds like it's starting to rain here. Such beautiful weather before. All right. Switch it on. Powered it up. We didn't get the big degauss noise this time, but there we go. We ready? We ready? Dun, 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 dun. There we go. The Color Classic, when it's starting, makes a clicking sound. We've got a screen. There's a clicking sound that precedes the chime. So you switch it on, and then you just hear this, little popping sound, and then you hear the chime. And it's the thing is that when you hear the pop, you know you're going to hear the chime. So it's one of those things that I will always love to hear. It's just that little pop. It's like, oh, it's working. Hooray. Sorry. Oh, God. It's making some funny noises. But it does seem to be working okay. Needs a little bit of work on the geometry. It's a little bit squashed down at the moment. I need to be careful. This is someone else's computer. I need to make sure there's no personal information here. But we do have a Color Classic that is functioning now with a new analog board. Of course, the logic board is shot. This is my logic board. But at least we have a recap. The next thing that's going to happen to this board, it's going to be modified to become a Mystic upgrade. So this display will display 640 by 480 pixels. That's the plan. So I want to just wait till this starts up. Then I will shut it down. A lot of extensions there, aren't there? This is just me protecting the privacy. Make sure it doesn't come up with any sort of personal information. Beep. Personal information like the time's not set. Capacitors. Okay. Because even though it's my logic board, it is someone else's hard drive, so it does have other people's stuff on it. Victory is mine. No, I don't do a very good stew. Okay, so I don't see anything personal here, so we're all good. We will just do the obligatory up to the Apple menu and about this Macintosh. And there we go. Total memory 10. This actually has 12 megabytes in it, but for those who are not aware, the Macintosh Color Classic has got a ROM cap on it to make sure that it won't address any more than 10. So even if you put 12 in there, it will still only work with 10, which sucks. But you know, that's just that. Okay, so well, all successful. Let me just go and shut this little guy down now. Special, shut down. And I would like to say thank you very much to everyone who has watched, who has stayed with me today. Today's got to be one of my biggest streaming days ever. 2 streams in one day, my goodness. So, unplug. So thank you very much for watching. Let me just go back to this view and I'll take my ridiculous spectacles off. To the 21 viewers at the moment who have stuck around to the end, I thank you very much for jumping on and having a look as I play around with old computers once again. And enjoy the rest of your day, night, whatever it happens to be where you are. And I hope to see you at the next stream. I'll just quickly check the chat because I haven't read it in a second. I hope someone didn't ask me any questions in there. Is this glass scratch? Is that just a light? I think it's just a light. Tech and music, I didn't say hello to you. Thank you for watching. And to all the rest, if I forgot to say hello, I do apologize. But thank you everyone, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye now.